Hello and welcome to the Tangents Podcast, the show where we follow the conversational thread wherever it may go. I'm Alex.
Hey, you got it right one week.
Shut up! I can do it, all right? Shut up! I'm Alex, or Zenbear Digital, however you may know me, and as always, I'm with my friend Cam Lumo Blaze. How are you doing today?
Operating on 2 hours of sleep. Let's kill God.
Cool. I'm operating off of 9 hours of sleep, but feeling like it was none. So let's just do this, shall we?
We even out somewhere in the middle to a well-rested individual.
What is sleep? What is feeling rested? We don't know. I don't know. I've never known.
Scientifically, it's a concept. But on a metaphysical level, who can know?
This is true. So, we do have two topics as always, and the first one, I think we're going to jump off of your one to begin with. I think it's going to be slightly more interesting, and it's very relative to what we were talking in the last episode.
Yeah, that's kind of what got me thinking about it, because, like, here's the thing. I have learned a lot in a very short amount of time. In the past year, I have gone from, like, a complete creative train wreck to someone with enough focus and productivity to actually execute on ideas that I have, which is very exciting. But here's the thing. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Everyone can make the world's greatest comic book, they just need someone to handle the art and the writing. Like, so the way that I view it is like, the people who succeed creatively...
Oh, hold on, sorry. Yeah, anyone can make the best of anything, you just need someone to make it for you. Yeah, that's how that works!
Well, you get what I'm saying, though. Like, there are so many, like, idea men, like, oh, why won't Sega just make this Sonic game that I made? Easy, because you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're just hoping someone will donate the art and the programming. Like...
I get what you're saying, but normally people that have that kind of idea, they do some work towards it, at least, like, break it down, instead of just being like, hey, yeah, this would be... Actually, no, I take back exactly what I just said. I just realized, yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, the second you start to say it, you're like,
I've seen plenty of that. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I used to be one of those bastards, which I think makes me exceedingly qualified to talk about it. But the thing is, though, is what a lot of people don't realize when undertaking creative projects is there is a lot that goes into it, but there is nothing, I would say, as paramount as core project management and time management skills.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this on... It wasn't last episode, it was the one before that. Yeah, we're just going to be building off of that, I think.
Yeah, like, here's the thing. The podcast represents a unique opportunity for you and I to talk about things that interest us, but as creatives, as YouTubers, as, you know, streamers, etc., I think it is critically important that we address kind of the boring side of things some of the time, because oftentimes it's these down moments, these, like, boring topics that can make or break a project.
Let's face it, okay? Some of the most important stuff when you're making stuff is... Yeah, making the thing that you're making is great and all, making it as best as you can. But the things that really kind of bolster your content creation, and I'm going to, as always, use the example of YouTube. You can make the content as great as possible, but then you go in, if you want to really up your game, you need to go into the boring side of things, which is analytics. And you can start to see in what parts of your videos, thanks to YouTube's very nice statistics, is what parts of your videos people start to dip off on. What parts do people get bored at? You can start to break down what works and what doesn't with your videos. And at the same time, you can then start to look into SEO and other sides of things. And let's face it, not the most glamorous side of things that you want to be dealing with, and not really the stuff that you really think about when you're being like, I want to be a big YouTuber and make the fancy videos. I want to be rich and famous. Cool. Let's look at some statistics.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, is the boring stuff sucks ass, but is what makes or breaks almost everything. So, like, we can talk about, like, glamorous things like, oh, here's how you want to break down your ideas. Here's how you want to figure out X, Y, and Z. Here's how to capitalize on your analytics. You want to know what you basically never will think of? Time and project management is going to be what makes or breaks this video. Because it's like, at the end of the day, the most important two resources that any company, any business, any individual has is time and the human capital. Money is one thing, but money is both infinite and finite. Time and manpower are both exceedingly finite. So learning how to properly manage both is, I would say, the most critical skill. Because if YouTube takes off, you're going to switch from being a creative to being a business owner.
Yeah. And let's face it, if you're wanting to jump in and just start making funny videos, if you're wanting to just do like travel blogs or whatever kind of thing it is you're wanting to be doing, you are, as Cam says, you're going to be switching over from just making stuff to running a business. Because as soon as money gets involved, which let's face it, if you're making videos, you're more than likely aiming towards making money from it eventually.
Yeah.
It turns into a business, and you've got to try and make it a successful business. So when money gets involved, you kind of got to shift the way you look at things slightly differently if you have not been building up from the ground to operate from a business.
Yeah, and like, this is kind of like the major critical facet that I think a lot of creatives don't pay attention to is, at a small scale, you are probably already doing project management subconsciously. Like, for example, I know you, Alex. Whenever you make a video, you know what you have to do every step of the way. I don't think I've ever seen you write it down. You just have good track of your process.
Well, this is going to be just for you. Hang on, let me just share my screen real quick. Sorry, podcast, this is not great audio representation.
I'll paint a picture with my words.
Hey, you know that Notion stuff that we've been using?
Yeah.
Hey, I made a video version. Wabam! Here are all my active projects, and then here's my idea list.
Oh.
And then, with my active projects, let's say, jump into this. This is the one that I've got planned for Monday.
For the podcast audience, this is spreadsheets among spreadsheets among spreadsheets.
This is full-on high-quality production management that I've basically got myself set up for with every YouTube video now. And I know exactly what I gotta do. I've got sections for I've got SEO, title, I've got description, everything that's going to go into the actual video. A section for thumbnails, I've got resources for editing and publishing checklists, preparation I need to do, assets I need to gather, guests that are going to be part of it, concept, plan, and script. This is a full-on project for each video. I've just basically got myself set up, and I've got all the shit that I need to be doing. So, yeah, you don't see me writing things down, but it's definitely there, and I go into detail.
Yeah, and that's actually the critical thing that I wanted to talk about is when making anything, you need to be able to give a high-level version of what your concept is, but then you need to be able to break that hoe down. Like, you can't just say, I want to make video. You got to figure out the logistics. You got to figure out the you got to figure out the timetables. You got to go not with the flow, but with a roadmap that you create for yourself.
I mean, yeah, another big reason for this is, hey, are you doing it by yourself or are you bringing other people in with it?
Yep.
Because if you're bringing other people in with it, especially if it's other creatives or other YouTubers or other streamers, whatever it may be, it's a case of they've got their own thing going on as well, meaning you need to have a solidified plan that you've got. So you can be like, hey, this is happening on this time, this date, at this time, and we're going to be going in and doing this. Say if you're doing like a machinima type of thing, where you've got a shot, where you know you want to do a specific type of thing, a shot list might be good. Because then instead of going in and being like, hey, this might be cool, actually, hang on, let's do this. And then keeping people around as you're just going through your creative process, that could leave other people that have other things to be doing, or they may need to dip around at a certain point because they've got other commitments.
Yeah.
Going in, having a plan is crucial for other people as well.
Yeah. The way the projects work is there are normally 5 phases. There's pre-planning / concept, there's the actual planning phase, then there's 2 that go side by side, which is execution and maintenance, and then, your wrap up, like the actual release. So like, for most YouTube videos, the pre-planning, because again, we're all normally individual creators, I'm assuming that no one here has a team. That's just like, that's the assumption I'm going under. But for example, like, the pre-planning phase is like, I would like to make a video, let's just say, I want to make a Final Fantasy XI video.
Yeah.
And let's say it's going to be a video essay. So there we go. Now I've already got my high-level concept. Let's just say it's on Dynamis. So I want to make a video on Dynamis in Final Fantasy XI. That's pre-planning. That's all you really need. And then you enter the planning phase. And this is where I would say some of the most important work on the video is actually done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you develop your plan, you're going to break down everything you need. So it's like, oh, I'm going to need a script. I'm going to need to get footage of Dynamis. Getting footage of Dynamis means I'm going to need to have 1,000,000 gil. It means I'm going to need to contact my link shell to get like all the people needed to go into Dynamis. I'm going to need to get shots. So here's my shot list. What is that going to look like? Do I want to get like some shots of blue mages if that's part of the script? Like, it basically is a cascading waterfall of like what needs to be done to get to what you would describe as a good end product. Project. Once you have all these assets ready to rock, then you can get rocking, because pre-planning and planning are basically that's the strong foundation. So like, to give a personal example for me, on any game that I make, I have a design document from pre-planning that outlines what I want from the finished project, and then from there, I can cut it down into little steps.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is this is where we get into the other aspect of production, because right now we're managing the human capital. What are we going to be doing? But we also need to think about the time option. How long are we going to be doing it? So a good way to think about this is you need to know yourself and how long things take you. And you're going to screw up. That's the point. That's how you learn. But it's like, for me personally, when I'm making games, I have deadlines that I set. And if I don't meet them, then I know for the next time I do something similar, how long this is going to take me. Or at the very least, you know, how long it took me last time compared to how long I thought it would take me.
Yeah.
So like, whenever I give a time estimate, I actually add an extra like week and a half on top of it, because I know myself. I know it's going to take me a little bit longer, especially with how busy I am since I don't have a day off anymore. So it's like, when push comes to shove, I can be like, I need to get this dialogue system working. I think it'll take me 2 weeks. Let's say 3.5. Let's just say 3.5 to be safe. And then that way, like, if it doesn't take me that long, I get to reclaim that extra like half a week. But if it does take me that long, I'm not behind on my production schedule. But you have to kind of screw up a lot to know how long things will take you. So when you're in the planning phase, it's good to estimate how long you think something will take you, because it'll set realistic expectations and you won't like push too hard, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Like, you, Alex, have a really good example of what a good planning phase looks like. You have your charts, you have your concept, your to-do list, your shot list, your scripts, your guests. Everything is quantifiable, organized, and actionable.
Well, that's the thing, right? Going through college, I did an AV tech and then digital media degree. So I was very much in the technical side of filmmaking. With that, project management literally came in 3 phases: pre-production, production, and post-production. So pre-production was very much just doing, it was the planning phase. It was doing everything. So it was just condensed down into all that. I've kind of, with project management myself, I've kind of expanded it to encompass different things, so I know exactly where I am in each different phase. So, for example, with the stuff that I was showing you just now, I've got this. This is my progress chart here. Okay, so this is for making YouTube videos. I go from idea. So this is the initiation. This is the concept where I lay down the idea and flesh it out a little bit. My idea phase, like I've got a spreadsheet of all the different ideas I want to do. This is where most people just stop. It's a case of like, hey, it'd be really cool if we do this. That's the idea. That's literally it. I take that, then I flesh it out a little bit. This is also where I potentially come up with the name of what the video is going to be. Because if you work from the name of the video and then kind of start to flesh it out around that, that's a good building block. Because let's face it, how many times have you got to like, how many times have you got through like, you're in the edit of the video or you're just about to publish it and be like, what should I call this? What can I do to call, what can I do to make people click on this kind of thing?
Yeah, like whenever I get to the end of a video, I don't actually work with the title in mind, specifically because I want the title to, I mean, the title's going to have to be a little bit clickbaity regardless. We live in a post-algorithm world. So it's like, you know, not actionable, but like impressionable and punchy titles are the goal to get. The thing with me is I actually don't want to clickbait. So, like, for example, on my last video titled Effectively Giving Up, that's because I gave up on making a mechanic in a nuanced way and went, it's cheap and dirty, but it'll work. But I did effectively give up on the scalability and the flexibility that doing it better would provide me because I didn't need that.
Well, there's the difference. There's the difference because your content is literally basically a video diary of the process that you went through for that month.
Yeah.
So it's very much, you can't go into that month being like, I'm going to do this and this is going to be the title. It's very much a reactionary to what happened in your month.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work that way. But for like, if you're making like little videos where it's like a concept, you're taking a funny idea and putting it into action and making something about that, that process works great. It gives you a kind of shell to work within. So for example, you could be like, I don't know, how to make friends in VR chat or something like this. You could just jump in and be like, okay, well, if that's the concept that we're going with, maybe it's just what could stop people from becoming friends? I mean, what could stop you from making friends in this area? Maybe it could be along the lines of, I don't know, you got social anxiety. Let's look up articles on like WikiHow on how to make friends and use that, because WikiHow's not exactly the best site. So you could get some, like, taking terrible advice and putting it into action could be a fun idea.
Yeah.
In VR chat. So if you work with a framework of what you want to accomplish with the title, it gives you a lot of jumping off points to develop your idea. It's one way to work forwards.
Yeah, speaking of, I'm sorry, this whole thing actually made me check my analytics on my last video.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That good, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm still trending well above average on the Effectively Giving Up video, but also at multiple times my CPM hit like $30, and I don't know what bid war is happening on a game dev channel with like actually over 10K now, I guess. But it is it's very funny to see. Like, I was talking about this with, our buddy forever ago, and he was just like, a $30 CPM is stupid, and I was like, I agree, but I would like to keep this, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Oh, man, now I'm sad. I mean, I'm happy I don't have time to make videos, because, like, I'm actually working on finishing up all the rebranding and video assets that I need to take my videos to, like, the point that I want to take them.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, damn, this shit do be capitalizable, though.
Man, I wish I was at that phase. Like, the issue with me is I've started so many damn times with my YouTube stuff that I can't, like, every time I start, I get some momentum, but then I stop because of various things in my life. And then it just becomes a case of like, oh, so I got that influx of subscribers or those people that follow me on whatever platform. After a couple of months, I stop because of various things. Then when I come back, they're gone because they've moved on to other things, and it's essentially starting from scratch again. But the numbers still stay there,
yeah,
which is a very strange thing because as of speaking right now, my YouTube channel is at 1.4K subs. Active subs, way less than that. Because some of these subs are from maybe 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, from the Simply Wasting Time days.
Before that. Way before that.
Ooh.
Okay, so I've worked on maybe 6 or 7 different channels over my time on YouTube. All of them gain traction for a little bit, then I have to stop and move on. And a lot of these channels were collaborative ones. And part of the reason why they stop is because it ends up that I'm just the only one doing stuff on it. And it's just, I cannot keep a group project running by myself. So a lot of that stuff is how that breaks down. But individual stuff, like my main channel, which I'm working on now, and I'm not leaving anymore. I'm not working on like other group projects anymore, unless other people are like truly committed to it and whatnot, which is a very difficult thing to find. So I'm sticking with it. And it's now a case of I'm following suit in what you're doing, to a degree of I'm just going to be releasing a video when I can because I'm too busy with other things to keep a rigid release schedule. Yeah,
like that's the thing. I was talking with a couple of my friends, and a lot of my friends are actually like also creatives in different ways. And one of my friends literally was like, why do you hold yourself to a schedule if you're making a product you're not happy with? Like, you have the flexibility because you're not big. You can do whatever you want. And then thinking about it, like, even if I do become big, my schedule can still just be absolute hot trash, and it still kind of just works out.
This is true. It does come down to some people some channels, when it comes down to it, they stay successful because they're just pumping out stuff. There is a lot of there are some channels that once they make it big, it doesn't matter whatever the hell they put out. They could put out bare minimum effort stuff of gameplay of a certain popular game or whatever. Once they hit that threshold, they're already in the algorithm. They're already popular. They've got the numbers behind them. People will watch.
Yeah. Like a good example of like who I kind of look for as far as like dealing with like the actual structure and like uploading stuff. A good example of like someone who has basically zero upload schedule is Danny, who is a game dev YouTuber. When does he upload? Who knows? Does the upload do good? Every time.
Yeah.
But like, I think the dude's uploaded like 3 times this year.
That's the thing, because there's a difference between being, lodging yourself within the algorithm, and then it just starts promoting your stuff. You've got the follower base to be able to just put out whatever. The like daily video game channels where it's just like, whatever.
3 horror games.
Yeah, I mean, for that kind of stuff. But then there are some channels where the content is so sporadic, it doesn't make sense. The algorithm doesn't really pick them up, but their name is just attributed to quality. So whenever someone posts something, it's like it's an event.
Yeah.
So some of these channels that kind of spring to mind would be like iDubbbz a couple of years ago. There would have been JonTron is another one. Nerd City, all this kind of stuff. They barely ever post anymore, but when they do, oh boy, do they blow up.
Yeah. Like for the Danny example, dude basically only uploads when he's done something of note. So like the last 2 videos he uploaded was someone said I couldn't make a survival game, so I did, followed by y'all wanted more, so I patched the game. And it's like those were both really excellent videos because it had a good concept, a complete narrative through line, and it was interesting conceptually. But like, so it was basically like, okay, so homeboy hasn't uploaded in 2 months and all of a sudden he cranks out an entire survival game.
Yeah,
and that's where he's been for the 2 months.
All right.
But like, that's the thing. And then like before that, it's like, oh, he made a controller that's a banana. That was 5 months after his last video. So it's like, dude just uploads whenever he wants, but because it's so high quality, it just works out.
Yeah, there is a difference between quantity over quality and vice versa. And there are, like, different methods work for different people. It just depends on what you want to do. There's no wrong way, ultimately. And you can have some people just be, oh, they're not really putting much effort, and I don't see why they're getting the views. But it doesn't really matter, because they're still successful. They're still working fine. It's just you're not part of their demographic.
Yeah. And, like, this is the thing. Like, to kind of go back to, like, the production cycle, like, you don't have to set a hard, like, normal limit on when videos are done, but you should make sure that you're taking actual, like, time estimates for how long things will take. Because, like, if you don't know this, you can actually just spin your tires and never fix it if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, it does come into kind of, like, the sunk cost fallacy at some point. Where
the good old sunk cost phalange.
It does get to that stage at some point where, like, if your primary focus is to make videos to eventually become famous and become rich, famous, all this kind of stuff, blah, 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 there does come a point where if you're focusing on the video and you're constantly wanting to put in effort and time and make it perfect, make it as perfect as possible, at some point, it's just not worth the time and effort that you put into it. But if you're wanting to do it for, like, you're just making it for yourself and making it for fun and for that kind of stuff. If everything that I just mentioned is kind of like secondary, take your time, do what you want. But it's up to you as to the point where is it worth it? At this point, yeah, maybe, nah, maybe, I don't know. It comes down to that.
I would say perfectionism is the death of projects more often than not.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we kind of like spoke about this, but it's exactly why I've kind of got to the point of, with my videos, I used perfectionism would basically ruin and mean some videos would take bloody months to do. And I even when I released them, I would not be happy about it. So now it's just a case of, do these meet my standards? Yes? Okay, good enough.
Yeah. And like that's how I work too. Like if I can say, all right, good enough, it's done. Like if I spend too long trying to polish everything, we're still going to get a turd. The turd's just going to be glistening, but it's still going to be shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, right now, for example, I'm in a wonderful spot where I can just finish my slime game. And when you guys get the video, you get the video. But yeah, I'm not like focused on making sure that it is the most polished game in existence, because that's just not realistic. It's not feasible for me. It's very, very goof.
Mhm.
So it's like, I would love to just, sit down, crank that Soldier Boy, and just like get it done. But I know at the end of the day that if I do that, it's not gonna come out okay. I just need to I need to accept when, okay, I don't know what else I need to be doing on this. That means that it's done. I don't need to just keep inventing new things to do. Which also helps when you go through the planning phase, because then you can have a complete actionable task list, and when you're done, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like doing the project management side of things. You've still got to make stuff so that you can learn what parts you need to like improve on, what parts you need to add to your process, and all this kind of stuff. Because only by making things do you find these issues, do you find these areas that you need to improve upon and add to your process. You can't go into things like, never made something? Okay, cool. You're going to have the perfect planning process. Never. Absolutely not. The only way that you can improve is just by starting to make things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think this is going to be weird, because this is not what you would expect me to have any sort of advice from. I think Tommy Wiseau said it best.
Oh, no.
Someone asked him, Tommy, how do I start making videos? And his only response was, start.
Yeah, like that is the best advice that you can give. Because let's face it, everyone starts off shit.
Yeah. That's just the nature. You got to be willing to suck at something to be good at it.
Yeah.
With me in character art, I'm an acceptable environment artist. I would say I'm at least junior level at this point. But I wanted to switch to character art because that's something that I'm more passionate about.
Yeah.
And I've accepted that my character sculpts aren't very good. And that excites me. That's room for upward growth.
I think this kind of breaks into something else as well of, is there a case of like, if you don't like to be bad at something, if that puts you off from trying new things, you're only going to put yourself into a stalemate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad to be bad at things. It just means you're learning. So
that's actually something that got me a lot with Minigame Monthly way back in the days, because it would never live up to my own standards. And instead of being willing to make smaller projects before then, I just accepted that the project was out of scope and killed it.
Yeah, you tried to fly before you could crawl, basically.
Yeah, which is why I'm building my fundamentals now, so I can do things like that later.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the exact reason with the exact same thing with stuff that I'm making now is with the perfectionism side of things. My standards were way too damn high. Like I take it you've seen some of my newer stuff, and what I've been doing with my old stuff as well is I always try and make it somewhat cinematic with the soundscape and some of the visuals and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lowered that now. I've had to essentially just be like, standards, I'm going for like cinema quality stuff. Bullshit. No way am I going to be able to do that. I had to essentially just yank my head out of the clouds, and now I'm grounded.
Yeah.
So things are now more reasonable for myself.
That's the thing is so after you break everything down and you let's just say you try and make a couple of videos and it goes bad, you're now more aware of where your limitations lie. And here's the thing. Limitations are the wings of creativity. Straight up. Ukulele was bad because it was unfettered ambition. Banjo-Kazooie was good because it was ambition filtered through a producer. Having these limitations allows you to understand exactly what you can and can't do. So when you get to the planning phase, you can better identify where your roadblocks are and work around them.
Yeah.
So that way for me, I know I'm exceedingly overambitious. So I will write up my dream concept and then cut it down until it resembles a manageable thing. And then I'll enter the execution phase.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll notice that we're talking more about the planning than anything else, because here's the thing. The execution phase, I don't think it needs either of us to explain it at a conceptual level. Because at the end of the day, that is just, here's my planning, time to take down the task list. You'll have to adjust, but... But like that's the thing. There's like when it comes to execution, there's not so much that needs to be explained because like you know your steps and we don't. Your project might be vastly different to ours, but so long as you went through planning, figured out everything you'd need, execution is good. You'll have to adjust, obviously, because, you know, end of the day, a perfect production cycle doesn't exist. There will be delays. You will make up time. You will lose time. You will hopefully end up with a net neutral of time positives and losses, so your production schedule remains accurate, but that's never the case. There's always going to be a holdup. Like, one of my friends has been working on one thing at her job for literally 3 months. I've had projects that I've been on in my like past at other companies where it was supposed to take us like a week and we got it done at like the turn of the new year because it just had so much go wrong. So it's like things don't go according to the production schedule, which is what the maintenance side of things is. So it's like, oh, I'm behind. Where can we shift things to make up time? Which, as an individual creator, you might not have to. But if you're trying to stick to a weekly or monthly upload schedule, you will have to. So, for example, let's just say you're making a video, you're going weekly, and you are behind. Let's just say like your job held you up one night when you were going to like finish up the video, do all the polish pass and everything, and video's due tomorrow, you can't do much. So what you then have to decide is, okay, my deadline's coming up. What realistically can I do tonight before I have to get this rendered and out? So like this might be a case of like, oh, I can't subtitle this. Oh well, I have to accept that. That's just an L. Or like, oh, I can't do like individual color grading for like shots inside a house in Phasmo and outside the house in Phasmo. Oh well, that'll have to die. So it's like you.
Sorry, just to break in. Can I just say, I think I'm over the point. I'm over the idea of subtitles now. Like subtitling in videos, especially like gaming videos at this point, people put way too much emphasis on the subtitling and making gags with subtitles that the video is behind. It's as if it's masking like how bad the actual video is.
Yes, it is. But it's a good example because it's so like frequent in video. So it makes it a good like general jumping point for people.
Like if the main quality of the video is the subtitling, that's not a good sign, is all I'm saying.
Well, like that's the thing. It's like, so when you're behind, you got to figure out what has to die. So like for me with my current projects, I'm still in the pre-planning phase because I want to figure out what I'm doing. But like I know for a fact that what I plan is going to change dramatically from point A to B. And by doing the maintenance phase, I can mitigate a huge chunk of these issues because like I will have to compromise on my vision, and that is what makes the vision great. Because, like I said, it's just a matter of like you'll never get the perfect result. Mm-hmm. So plan the best that you can, set your accurate timetables, deal with what you have to deal with, eliminate any roadblocks early on because that's just critical. But like day's end, the product that you end up making, it will never be perfect, and you just have to accept that and accept that like you've done your best. And like you'll sometimes come out proud, you'll sometimes come out completely defeated, other times you'll question why you even bothered at all. But so long as you're happy with the product at the end and you feel it is viable for release, then you can consider your production cycle a success. Take a moment to yourself, reflect on what you can learn from it, and try it again. Yeah. Restart the cycle. So like let's say, you know, you had that whole issue at work and like you couldn't finish the video to your standards. You now realize that, you know, there is a level of unpredictability in your day-to-day life, so you can work on the next production cycle, full well realizing that you might have a full, like, 6 to 8 hours less than you thought you would originally have. So you can take that information and iterate. You can just iterate on it.
No. Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of that. It's like you kind of have to keep going forwards and then iterating and improving. Like, it's to jump off of that, it's the phrase a diamond in the rough. You kind of have to keep polishing it to make it better and better. So again, it's just start and keep going, and then just make sure that you reflect on what you're doing and take a look at what's working and whatnot, and just keep improving as you go on. And that's all you can really do to try and improve on yourself. And don't get me wrong, again, like it's good if you have other people in the same space as you that you can talk to and get advice from, and some critical feedback on as well as people that just maybe don't know the space as well or don't know what really be anything about what you're doing. and then like listen to what they are. Doesn't mean you need to pay attention to them, but it's worth looking at what they're saying and then finding like key points that you think, yeah, maybe I actually could try that. It's as Luma says, it's just iteration. It's just iteration upon iteration to improve on what you're doing.
Yeah. Like one of the things that I've kind of learned as a producer now, which by the time this episode comes out, it'll have been a significant like period of growth for me. It's like learning to do this production cycle by yourself is mandatory because, like we said, when you start making money, things change. You become a business entity. You will probably have to hire people, and having an idea of the production cycle for yourself will help you have a better idea of the production cycle at scale. So like for me, someone who wants to have like a small YouTube empire at some point, I'm going to have to be able to manage the content of about 3 channels. So for me, if I know the process on all of those channels, if I've gone through the process on all those channels, and I understand the time that a lot of these things take, when push comes to shove, I can make a pretty accurate production cycle for the staff that I hire.
Yeah.
And from there, like if I'm wrong, we can adjust, but I'll be able to better keep track of everything and better organize tasks, better delegate who needs to be doing what when. And in doing so, ensure that the ship runs as smoothly as possible.
This comes down to something that I believe in quite well. If you're wanting to make stuff, if you're wanting to make videos, podcasts, music, whatever, all this kind of stuff, and you then want to hire people to do parts of the job for you, if you have not done it before you, and then you start to criticize the workflow that they're doing because you don't have any knowledge about it, maybe you should do it beforehand. It's basically jumping on it as well. It's like, it's the idea of, I've seen so many, I'm going to rag on some people for a little bit here. Hey, do you remember some subreddits that we used to frequent for video production? I'm not going to give any names, but the amount of, and I guess the best way to put it would be either naive or entitled people that would come in and then just start bitching about how things just aren't just like exploding into popularity because they've done 2 videos, or they're looking to hire an editor when they've only made a handful of videos, and they're then asking for like, hey, I'm looking for someone to become my editor. I'm paying about $20 per video. It's like, no, are you kidding me? No.
I'll be real. Whenever I hear stuff like that, I always have to question, are they trying to lowball or do they think their time is worth that little money?
It's because, let's face it, a lot of the people that are looking to jump into this stuff, and especially on these subreddits, they haven't made a channel that's making money at that point, which means they're trying to offload a bunch of the workload, and they're using whatever spare money they can from whatever other income source that they are having. So they're thinking, if I have this amount of money, if I give out this amount of money for people to make videos, I'll eventually make it big, because in their mind, they've got the confidence, they're going to make it big. So it's, hey, I've got this excess money from my other job, but I want to become a YouTuber. I want to make videos. Cool, I don't have the money. I've got no money to fund the YouTube side of things from YouTube yet. So I'm going to basically say, this is my budget. If anyone wants to jump in, then you can. I'm hiring a video editor for videos for $20. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is a whole other thing of just, hey, if you want to become a video editor and you want to get practice and stuff, cool. Find a Twitch streamer that you like, download their VOD and edit that up. Make a portfolio without being abused by other people. Jeez. You can get the skills and learn and practice without getting abused by another creator, because some of these creators know that they can cycle through these people because other people want to be getting like, hey, I'll edit your video for nothing. Or if you're offered like really low money as well, like $20 per video, they're going to take it because, hey, I'm learning and taking money. Don't, because you're harming the industry for everyone. And some creators will just be like, oh, I can just cycle through these people wanting exposure and experience. I can just keep cycling through them. And that's just toxic and destructive for the entire environment.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
No.
But like that's the thing, though, is by acknowledging how your process works, you have a better idea of how long things will take, and you know how much you're worth. Some people might have a lower sense of self-worth, guilty, but it's like...
Some people also have a much higher sense of worth than they should.
Yeah, but like once you know how long something takes you can figure out what the actual fair price would be. So like for me, for like video editing, I charge like 60 an hour because it's very intensive work whenever I like get super into it. And it allows me to basically maintain a workflow of go fast, do a good job, don't let this be your entire afternoon. Because obviously I don't want to overcharge clients.
Yeah. You see, this also, God, we're jumping into like video editing pricing at this point now. And being a video editor as a profession, I don't do it as a hourly rate. I have a rough idea of what my hourly rate is. It's just whenever I'm working with a new client, I always offer a trial run, which has a flat rate and extra stuff if they add extra footage and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the way that I work it is I don't do hourly because with video editing, things can go wrong, things can be added on, and it can become very costly very quickly for the client. So what I do is I offer a trial run. I get a feel for what their content is. That it means they get a product to see if I'm good for their good fit for their stuff, and then it means then I can make a kind of flat rate per video. With obviously addendums, if they want extra stuff, then there's extra costs, all this kind of stuff.
Well, that's what I do too. Like I have my hourly rate, but I set a projected cost based on that.
Yeah, so it's a case of I can make a price range, a price for the client. It's individual per client, which is the best for both of us, for both sides. So when people are like, "Hey, what's your rate?" It's like, "Hey, here's a trial run."
yeah. It helps the client better know.
But yeah, I mean, coming back to the whole project management side of things, I would say that you and we have a pretty good understanding of various aspects. Not experts, absolutely not.
No one's an expert. There are only people who are better at it than we are.
Oh, of course, there's always someone better at something than you are.
Exactly.
If you're listening and you're interested in the processes that we go through, or if you want to actually take a look at how we run through things, let us know and we could actually do an episode or like a Patreon episode dedicated to like how we go through the process, like go through an entire production kind of thing. Very shorthand, obviously. Not going to do a video like live in front of everyone. But we could go through like the processes, maybe share some of the documentation templates that we use. I don't know. We'll see. Let us know if you'd be interested in that.
That said, I think it's time for us both to go and take a brief 15-minute nap.
I fear you actually might. That's the thing.
I might, yes. But only 15 minutes. So here's an ad read. We'll be back in a little bit. And remember, if you do want to see how we do our process, probable Patreon episode, maybe consider subscribing.
Who's that Midroll host? It's me. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Midroll. This is where we speak about things. What things may that be? Things. Welcome, hi. Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. We've said some interesting... Wait, hold on. Which episode is this? Oh, planning. Have good planning structure. I should have planned this mid-roll. I want to take a quick moment to talk about our Patreon. Yes, I know. We keep going on about it, but we have to. Mainly because... So, if you want to sign up to our Patreon, we would absolutely love you for it, and we even give you a couple of things back. Such things as outtakes and bloopers from episodes, a monthly Patreon exclusive episode which you can listen into live and even interact with, and a Q&A session at the end. You can also join in on the Patreon exclusive Discord and chat with other fans and us as well as we do things. It's Discord, what do you expect? But I do want to take a quick second to thank our top tier supporters, Alakar Sefiro, Andrew Sorensen, and Audrey Resendez. Thank you so much, and all of the other patrons as well. You actually help us make the show possible. So if you do want to join in and support us, go to patreon.com/podcast tangents. If you do also want to support us, but you don't have the money, don't worry, this isn't a mandatory thing. It's a very appreciated thing, that is all. You can also, on whatever platform you're doing, interact and just rate, like, favorite, share the podcast on whichever platform you're using, because that really does help the show out. We don't do any advertising for this. It's all through word of mouth, and we thank you for all the work that you do as well. Anyway, let's just jump back into the episode. I'm going to let you stop listening to me, so you can listen to me. That makes sense? Okay, yeah, that's just how this works, right? Oh, wait. See you on the other side! And welcome back from the ad read. Did you like those funny words that we said to try and make you spend money on us? Ha 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 ha! Well, we're back, and we've got another topic right for you. Hey, Cam.
Hey, Alex.
Would you say you're well-traveled?
Not in the slightest.
Would you like to become well-traveled?
Not in the slightest. I want to die in the room I was born in.
Oh, wow. Well, that kind of sucks. I mean, I guess that makes you're living in your coffin, in a sense. That's kind of weird.
Aren't we all stuck in these flesh prisons after our consciousness was freshly picked from the void against our own consent?
Oh, so you're talking about the room that you're in is actually your body? So, hang on.
Flesh prison.
Yeah, that's great. Cool, but you're still within a room right now, unless you're outside. Are you outside making these mouth noises with your face hole?
I wish I was. It's actually kind of shitty out, but the air feels nice on my skin.
This is true. As soon as I'm done with this podcast, I'm going outside for a walk, and I'm taking my new drone with me because I want to practice with it.
Yeah, dude, I'm in the same boat. Like, I took a walk right before the podcast. I'm just like, oh, looks like it's gonna rain. I could go for another one.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you don't. I can't tell if that was a bit of that you don't really want to like travel at all.
I mean, I do want to travel. Again, by the time this episode comes out, I'm on vacation. Like, I'm actually like out of my state.
That'd be nice. Like, okay, let's start this off with something easy. Let's break this down. So the topic is places you'd love to travel to. Let's break this down into a first part. Where have you traveled abroad or in country so far in your life? Like major places.
Man, I have only gone to New England. I went to Florida once when I was a baby. That was before 9/11, so like I was very small. But it's like I basically have only routinely been to Mass. Like Vermont every now and again, Maine once in a while, but I barely have explored New Hampshire. Like I'm very not out there kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't go places often.
Okay.
What about you?
That's pretty much the same with me. I've only ever been like I've moved between England and Scotland a bunch when I was a kid because just the way it was with my parents.
Yeah.
Technically, I was born in Germany, but I'm not going to dwell on that. So that's kind of been abroad. But I've lived my entire life in Scotland, essentially. I have visited part of my primary school. I visited Belgium for like a couple of days, and this was like the final year of primary school, which for everyone else, I was about 10 at the time. I bought beer in Belgium as a 10-year-old. It was weird. We did a for the school trip, we essentially did a field trip to a brewery. I'm pretty sure this was for the teachers.
What?
Yeah, we did a school trip into Belgium to a brewery. It was weird. I'm pretty sure it was just the teachers doing a beer run and bringing stuff back to the UK. But when I first went to college, I finished off the thing going with some friends to Tenerife for about 5 days. Came back with second-degree burns.
Oof.
Yeah, let me tell you. First day at the beach, great. Put on sunscreen, everything. Went into the ocean. The sun cream was not waterproof. I did not know this.
Oh.
I came back next day. I could not, for the rest of the 4 days, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I had second-degree burns on my shoulders, and it was the worst. Absolutely the worst. So I've never had a good experience going abroad.
Yeah, it sounds like you. No, it sounds like a good time. You know, got that crispy skin that we all love on our chicken fingers.
Yeah, trust me. When it was done, and this is gross, by the way, I was wearing a vest at the time. You know, like one of those. I don't like how they're colloquially termed as wife beaters, but one of those kind of vests. Yeah.
Oh, the man version of spaghetti strap tank tops.
Basically, a tank top would have worked better. That's a better phrase for it. But no, I was wearing one of those, and so I essentially had the inverse on my skin in second-degree burns above. And trust me, when that starts to, scab over and all this kind of stuff, when it came off, it was shoulder pads. It was disgusting.
Real talk, my mom, and this was something we had to, get her to stop doing. Whenever we got burns, she loved to get, the flesh off. It was like getting the film off a television.
Oh, That's
And
not
like, it's not like it hurt or anything, and it was important for the healing process of the burn. So it's not like it didn't need to get done, but it was basically like she would rip the skin off and then hit us with some aloe to make sure that like it heals properly.
when you say hit, do you mean literally, or was it?
Yeah, she just like grabbed the entire aloe plant and like just threw it. No, she grabbed a leaf,
just
like cut it open and like
just put the aloe, just put the aloe on the fist, on the knuckles, and just punch the burn.
But yeah, no. So like when I was a grown man still living with my parents and I got sunburned, I was like, the woman can never find out. You know, like I've got places that I want to travel. At some point, like I know I want to go and visit Canada. You know, because obviously we both have a friend there. Like I want to go and see Canada. I am going to Florida again. So that's going to be fun. But like I would love to visit Japan at one point.
Yep.
Simply because it will be complete culture shock.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my kind of places that I want to visit were very much influenced by a few people that I watch on YouTube. One of the big ones is like Chris Broad abroad in Japan. Like watching a bunch of his stuff has made me very much want to go to Japan. Like beforehand, I've wanted to, but now it's like, yeah, I kind of want to go there and just like see the scenery. I want to like visit the places. I want to see these places because his stuff is like really, really good. And I'm a massive fan of Chris Broad, and I don't know, he just makes Japan, like he's sometimes very critical about it, but like he loves Japan, but he's also very critical about it, which is good because otherwise like you'd just be like rose tinted glasses before you even go there kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no,
and like Japan straight up has a lot of shit wrong with it.
Yeah, I mean every place has a lot of shit wrong with it, but for some reason Japan of all places has just had this kind of idea of just like it's this mystical perfect land, and it's just like, nah.
Well, that's just weeaboos.
Sure. It's just like one of my Japanese animes.
Like I will be real. I'll just own up to this. Half the reason I want to go to Japan is so I can like go around some of Tokyo and just take pictures and be like, whoa, they made Akibara from Persona a real place, you guys.
I hate you so much.
Like literally just be so insufferable on Twitter about it. But
another place I'd love to go to Canada as well.
Yeah, Canada is one of those places that I feel has a lot of beautiful vistas and like views, but at the same time, being from New Hampshire, I'm afraid it's just going to be more New Hampshire.
This is true. I mean, I'd love to go visit Canada mainly because I intend to move there. So I want to make sure that I like it first. It's like going to a car dealership and be like, yeah, I should probably test drive this before I buy it.
Yeah, like right now, for me, like there's a strong chance that I am leaving New Hampshire at some point. Mm-hmm. So my thing right now is like I want to explore the hell out of the place that I'm already in. Because like, for example, there's a set of mountains in New Hampshire called the New Hampshire 48, which if I remember correctly is because they're above 4,800 feet, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I've only gone up like 2 of them. I want to go up all these trails and, you know, see of New Hampshire what I haven't seen. Like a couple of my friends took me to, I'm trying to remember the name of the town, but it's up in northern New Hampshire. And I went there and I realized I had never been there before. I had never experienced this bizarre, almost alien culture that was maybe an hour away from me.
You see, I'm very much like that at the moment as well. It's precisely why I'm going to bring this up, because I'm excited about it. Not because I'm trying to like rub it in people's faces. This new drone I got. The reason why I'm wanting to like get better with it, and I'm eventually going to get a larger drone. Like I got the DJI Mini 2, which is like 249 grams, all this kind of stuff. It's like one of the mini ones, but it's still got a 4K gimbal camera on front. I'm learning how to use that one before I get like a larger one with a better camera and better functions, all this kind of stuff. Because let's face it, if I'm going to be learning, I'm most likely going to crash and I'm going to make mistakes. I'd rather do it with the cheaper, less expensive, less dangerous one.
Yeah.
But I'm also, the end of this month, I've got my theory test for my driving license. And then within a couple of months, I'm going to be taking my driving license, getting my driving test done.
Yeah.
When I get this done, and thanks to the job that I run, I have, I intend to just travel around Scotland and just explore it and take video. I just want to explore the country that I'm in. And most likely I'm going to go down south and do the exact same because I can work anywhere with an internet connection. with my laptop, which is the crazy thing. So when I have the freedom to be able to do stuff, I'm gonna use that freedom to do the stuff that I want to do.
Yeah, Scotland and Ireland are actually two places that I want to visit because the landscape and the
Scotland is beautiful.
Yeah, it's so alien compared to how New England is, which excites me because I, as an artist, environmental or otherwise, the more I expand my horizons, the more I see of the world that we're in, the more I can, kind of take as mental reference for how something should feel when you look at it.
You know where you should go?
Where?
You should check out Ireland, the Giant's Causeway, with all the hexagonal rocks, which would be a nice place. I mean, it's heavily documented and all this kind of stuff. You should check out Iceland. Iceland would be an incredible place to check out.
So, real talk, you want to know what I find funny about the Giant's Causeway?
What's that?
It is probably the single most represented geographic thing in video games, at all. Almost every level designer is shit, we need some interesting rocks. Yo, make them hexes.
I mean, let's face it, your branding shape is a hexagon. So,
I mean, that was because bees, though.
Yeah, sure, but where did bees get the hexagon from? Giant's Causeway.
Bees are the ultimate game developers.
I mean, they're making stuff all the time. They're making their own levels.
That's true. They are. But no, that's the thing is I see so many hexagonal rocks in video games because the Giant's Causeway is just so unique and bizarre because it looks like a Settlers of Catan map. It's naturally unnatural.
So you should check it out. I mean, Iceland is just Iceland. Iceland just looks so beautiful. Just everything about it.
Iceland is the closest we can get to an alien planet, I think.
True. I don't know where it is in East Asia, but there's I think it's Singapore. Not Singapore. I think it's Taiwan. But those big mountains over the ocean, like the crystal blue ocean kind of thing with the plants falling off that you see in a lot of kind of adventure games. And you just look over and you see some footage of this place. I don't know where it is, but I want to visit it. It's just there. It's just that, and I want to visit it.
This is what kills me about China having the government that it has, because I don't exactly feel safe traveling there. But there is so much beautiful scenery in the Chinese countryside that I would love to see.
Right? I'm basically in the same boat.
There's just so much that is good, and I would love to be able to see one day. I'd love to be able to see the Great Wall. I would love to do a lot of these things. Obviously, I'm not going to because I have made very public Winnie the Pooh jokes. But it's one of those things where it's there's just so much of the world that I think is good to see because we're all stuck in our suburban and metropolitan sprawls. We are trapped in jungles of concrete. And as someone who just came from the countryside, it's I never realized how much I would miss the greenery. You'll notice that almost everywhere that I've said has been a pretty natural environment, sans Florida, which, as we all know, is a government testing facility.
I still stand by my point that nothing good comes out of Florida.
No, nothing good does come out of Florida. It's God's waiting room. It's God's waiting room.
You should just just go over with a big pair of scissors and just start cutting along the borderline. Just shoot it out into the ocean.
Well, here's the issue. If Florida goes away, that means that the southern United States don't have a buffer for hurricanes, which means that, we can't use Florida as the sacrificial land goat.
Issues that we can deal with when they arise. It's fine. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, just get rid of it. Just remove it. It's fine, whatever.
Going back to other places, I would love to visit South Korea as well.
Oh, God, yeah. South Korea is the only metropolitan sprawl I think I would be excited to go to. Well, besides Tokyo.
Yeah. I would just love to visit South Korea. I'm going to be completely frank. The scenery and the locations and the sightseeing stuff, secondary. I'm not too keen on seeing these large kind of sightseeing places, these tourist traps and all this kind of stuff. Sure, cool buildings and cool land structures and all this kind of stuff. Brilliant. I don't mind seeing them. I'm there for the food, baby. I want to experience the cuisine. There is a guy that I follow on YouTube called Mikey Chen, Strictly Dumpling, who just travels the world, and his job is literally eating food from around the world, and that's it. And all the places he goes to, like, he's just such a charismatic dude. Holy crap. And he just, like, eats all this amazing food. And I just want to follow in his footsteps a little bit. I want to try some of these places that he's gone to. It's just, dude, I just love Strictly Dumpling. It's so good.
Like, that's the thing. Like, half of why I like the idea of travel is being able to engage in cultures that aren't my own.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel as people, that's exceedingly important. The cultural exchange is exceedingly important. Like, the fact that every country has its culture and we're not, like, one homogenous blob across the entire world, that's one of the things that I really love because it makes everywhere a character. Every country a character. And I'm not talking in the Hetalia sense because that would be awful.
Oh, let's not.
Tumblr would have its... Yeah, no. But
let's not.
The fact that every country has its own characteristics, its own culture, its view on world, its religion, etc. Like, it's just fascinating to me. And it... Again, like I said, as an artist, it broadens my worldview. Like, as an indie developer, the more mythology that I can pull from around the world, the more unique I can make my stories, because fundamentally, all mythology is the same but different. And to me, it's exceedingly fascinating to see how different it is in some places. So it's like, you know, on one place, earthquakes are caused by a catfish struggling underwater. In another place, earthquakes are caused by a great turtle shaking its back as it carries the world. Like, it's things like this that make the world fascinating to travel because the views are astonishing. The countrysides are beautiful. The metropolitan sprawls are glorious, but everything comes down to the people and experiences that we can meet and have around the world. Like the food, the culture, the architecture, the things that man made that accentuates how amazing these places can be.
Yeah. I mean, I don't go as deep as that personally. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the vistas. I'd love to like experience stuff. The culture, yes, absolutely. The social anxiety in me be like, I want to experience it, but I'm nervous about it.
Well,
but
I mean, like, here's the thing.
The main focus for me is the cuisine because I can eat good. I'm good at that. So it's like, that's a good starting point, if anything, to like start exploring other things.
Yeah. And like, here's the other thing too. Like, you can be a little bit social and, you know, socially anxious about talking with natives who might speak your language. But also remember, you're on a plane out of there. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable you are. No one's going to remember you.
But I'm going to remember how awkward I am, and I'm my own worst critic. So
Critic?
Critic?
Was the Grink there?
Shut up. Shut up.
That's how I view it. It's the same with like VR chat too for me, where it's like, even if I'm uncomfortable, there's enough users that no one's going to remember this uncomfortable exchange besides me, and I'll forgive myself for being uncomfortable because, like, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, who cares besides me?
Self-forgiveness. Who has that?
I had to buy it.
Okay, anywhere else that you'd like to visit? Bringing it back on topic.
I don't know. Like, a lot of the places that I want to visit are currently in conflict, so I can't exactly do that.
There is one place I'd like to visit.
Where would you like to visit?
New Zealand.
Oh, is it just because it's safe for Australia?
Basically, but no, New Zealand. Yes, there's the whole thing of like I'd quite like to visit the set of Lord of the Rings because hey, big nerd. But still, New Zealand is such a beautiful country. I would love to just visit it.
Yeah, like that's definitely up there. Like, the thing about New Zealand that I always like, I actually got from Rocket Power, and it's the fact that you can go up a snowy mountain and then chill on like a 90-degree beach. Like, you have the ultimate in like settings around New Zealand. Like, I know I want to visit Sydney at one point just because I think Sydney is a really neat city.
I'm conflicted about visiting Australia. I've got family down there who have offered me a place, like a room to stay in if I ever come visit. But at the same time, I'm just thinking, huntsman spiders? Nah, I'm good, pal. I'm good. Like, I know that they're more in the rural areas and all this kind of stuff, but just the concept of a huntsman spider just being in my vicinity, a spider basically the size of a small cat. No, I'm good, friend. I'm good. I'm just going to stay the hell away. Like, as much as I may be missing out on such a beautiful country in different areas, nah, I'm good.
Like, here's kind of the thing about, how do I put this? Here's kind of my feelings on Australia and the big spiders. You do kind of have a solution already. They do sell giant wooden mallets.
No. Okay, yeah. Dealing with them is one thing. Confronting one is a whole other fucking thing.
I mean, like, it just wants to get in bed to cuddle. Like, why would you fight that?
Did you hear the story that Ross O'Donovan told, right? When he used to live down in Australia. He was telling this on stream at some point, and he basically woke up and he felt what felt like a hand crawling up his leg in his bed covers. And he lifted it up and there was a huntsman spider just on his leg. He woke up with one in his bed on his legs. And he was just so calm about it in just the way that he is. And he just mentioned, like, for the next, 5 minutes, he was just chasing it around the room, just punching it, trying to get rid of it. But no, just that concept. Like, dude, nah. Like, that is, like, the worst nightmare in my nightmare kind of thing. I am that fucking arachnophobic.
Well, again, just take the wooden mallet to your leg. There you go. But no, like, I get what you're saying. Like, this is the thing. I'm the same way with wasps, but at a certain point, I've become numb to the fear of them just showing up, and I'm more afraid of the stinger. But it's like...
Okay. No. This let's take this. Wasps, not a big fan either. If you go over to Japan, there are the murder hornets that you can deal with, which is a place that you want to visit. Murder hornets, they're just an angrier version of the wasp.
That's the thing. The murder hornets actually aren't. Murder hornets really don't care and actively avoid people.
That's the thing, okay? They're still roughly the same size, it's just slightly more potentially dangerous. That's all it is. We're also now talking about with spiders and huntsman spiders in Australia. These things just scale up. Like, dealing with a wasp and a hornet and all that kind of stuff, it's still roughly the same size. It's just a sense of danger around it. I'm fine with smaller spiders. Don't get me wrong, I don't like them still, but it's a case of size and speed. That's what gets me. Because those little buggers, whilst they're not all that interested in humans and they've been described as, like, the dogs of the spider kingdom kind of thing, because they just want to get rid of things. They're not really interested in you. They just kind of want to be your pal. All this kind of thing. Back off! I don't want you! I'm sorry, I know that's probably mean to you, but you freak me out, right? If there is a spider that is the size of a small cat, back off. I just don't want to deal with that because it's just a larger scale that would petrify me in place.
Yeah.
There was oh god, there was an old video. There was an old video of a guy just like waking up. It's like a dark room and his wife is like sleeping next to him and he just gets his phone out and the room is dark. But he basically brings out the phone and he's filming with it and he points it up towards the fan that's rotating above him and it starts to focus in on behind the fan and there is just a massive, like the size of the fucking fan behind it spider just staring at him. And I'm just like, nah, I'm gone. I would just scream. I would probably faint. I don't know what the fuck I would do in that situation. If that
the American
happened
solution
to me.
in me says to shoot it.
Like, that's, oh god. Jeez, what?
Yeah, there is this story. I'm trying to remember the YouTuber, but he basically moved into a new apartment and he found a crack in the wall, and inside that crack was just a bunch of black widows.
Ugh. Like, that's
and
the thing.
he woke up one day and he went to take a shower and he was cleaning out his belly button and a black widow corpse came out of it.
Oh.
And so he basically had to like harass his apartment complex for like months to get this hole done, all the while finding dead black widows just on him.
Oh, yeah, black widows, they're dangerous because they're poisonous and all that, but they're still kind of relatively small. So I would not have too much of an issue with them. That's the thing. It's size for me.
I'm more concerned about the poison.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd still be cautious. I'd be kind of scared of them. But for me, it's very much the size of it when it comes down to it. Small spiders, dangerous, still deal with. Don't mind it. It's the size. Speaking of, I do have I have a small story. If you'd indulge me, just as like a kind of closing note. We went from like places we'd love to travel to just like spiders, which is a weird thing. When I was in university, I moved in with a couple of people that I met in college. The first day we moved into this flat, it was like a top floor, 3-story apartment complex. We had a bunch of people. There's a massive row of different things. So we were moving in, and there was one toilet between 3 of us. Not ideal. Gonna have to deal with it. It's fine. So we go in, and one of the flatmates just goes, hey, I'll be a couple of seconds. And he just goes to the toilet, and he sits down. And we just hear a giant scream from the bathroom. And they just basically finish up. And we're like, what the fuck was that about? He comes out like, okay. So apparently he sat down. And the way this bathroom is, you walk in, bath is on the right, and it's really narrow. And you just go straight forward and the toilet's looking at the door. So basically you walk in, turn 180, sit down, look at the door while you're pooping. And there's a radiator on the right hand on the wall. Underneath the radiator where the pipe goes into the wall, there was a giant hole. Basically, whoever had installed this didn't do it right. He sat down, and as he sat down, midway through his business, a fucking wolf spider just wandered out of this hole, turned around and stared at him taking a poop. And that's when he screamed. Because you know the size of wolf spiders, right?
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah, hand size. They can be up to hand size kind of thing. That thing was just staring at him as he pooped. So for like the next couple of days, we were all terrified to use the toilet. The issue is, within a couple of days, I went down and I got some hole filler. I basically just filled up this hole. I did not give a damn. I could not live in fear of pooping anymore, of this giant spider in this wall. So I filled it up. It was fine. It was great. 2 days later, same flatmate goes into the toilet, sits down. We hear a scream again. It's like, oh no, what now?
I think he might have just been bringing the wolf spider with him.
Apparently, behind the toilet itself, where the, I want to call it the exhaust pipe, the exit pipe of the toilet goes into the wall. There's a giant fucking hole behind the toilet. Wolf spider crawled between his legs. We could not fill that. That was the worst fucking place.
See, back at my parents' house, we had something kind of similar, but not quite. There was a window in the bathroom that we had upstairs, which looked directly into the woods. So obviously, you know, you don't want someone creeping on you while you're pooping.
Yeah.
So we would always have the curtains down. The thing is, though, is just because we couldn't see out didn't mean that other things couldn't see out. So one time I went to, use the bathroom, sat down, was doing my business, past the point of no return. I'm going to have to, clean up before I get up.
Yeah.
And I hear my phone go off and I look and, no text message. So I put my phone back down. Phone goes off again. Look at it. Not even a message on Discord. What is it? Turn to my left. Shadows covering the entire window. 4 or 5 wasps bouncing between the curtain and the glass. They were pissed because they could smell something. That something was me, and they wanted it. So, I started, frantically trying to clean up. And my dad, for some odd reason, made it very clear that wasps can smell fear. I think he told me that to try and convince me to not feel fear near the wasps. It only made me fear them more because they can apparently read minds. So, I'm scrambling to get the toilet paper. It's not working. I'm freaking the hell out. And it's literally this entire production of the wasps trying to get out to get to me to figure out what's going on, and me trying to get out so the wasps cannot get to me and I can close the door and it can be someone else's problem. And this was a routine issue every time I went to the bathroom because that window obviously is always there. And the thing is the wasps would come upstairs because they would be flying and they would just enter whatever room was the brightest. So I basically had my room in pitch darkness during the summer, specifically so I would be able to avoid the wasps coming into my room to find the window. So basically every wasp ended up in my room or the bathroom, which sucked.
I mean, the wasps were just smelling something bad. They were just coming after the smelly boy, I guess.
Well, the thing is, fecal matter indicates the presence of death, and wasps do eat carrion.
Yeah.
So they probably were like, I smell shit. Something might have died.
So what you're saying is, in theory, wasps like to eat ass.
Yes, so long as it's dead. That's the one major critical defining factor is it has to be dead.
That flat that I was talking about with the wolf spider and whatnot, we had a major issue with 2 different things in that. Well, there were a lot of issues with that place. Actually, that was a terrible fucking place. It was horrible. We had an issue with spiders and mice infesting the actual inside of the place. We also had issues with pigeons in the roof, which was a whole other thing. Couldn't sleep. All those kind of things. I had a lot of bad issues with that place.
Yeah.
The issue with the spiders, though, kind of just because it was relative to what we were just talking about. So the way this flat was laid out, the stairwell to the entire complex, the doorway leading into it was one giant hallway, and at the end of the hallway was my bedroom. And there was, as you come in to the left, there was the kitchen. To the right, there was one of the flatmates' rooms. Then to the opposite that one, there was like the bathroom. Then there was another 2 doorways on the right and the left, basically to the living room and then to a small box room. So there were a lot of doorways before you got to my one, but it was all one corridor. One of the days, we were dealing with shit. Let's just say I bought a bunch of spider repellent spray from Amazon one day, because I was fed up with dealing with these little buggers. And I say little in broad sense. So, my flatmate came in one day. I was just like, came out to say hello as he was like closing the door. And I noticed he brought a friend with him. There was a giant frickin' wolf spider just sitting in front of the doorway. So he jumped back into the kitchen. And at this point, I had sprayed this spider repellent across all my doorways. All the damn doorways and windows to my room. I had done it to the front door as well. Now the thing is, right, this giant spider crossed the threshold. It had entered. And now, with 2 people screaming at it, basically like, oh shit, we were just screaming. This thing panicked. It ran dead down the damn corridor straight to me. I slammed the door before it could get to me. All the other doors were open, by the way. All the damn doors were open. This thing
knew you were friendly.
It beelined for me. What the hell?
It knew you were friendly.
I shut the door and it crawled underneath the door. It was the worst. It was the goddamn worst. Why did this thing beeline for me? The spider repellent did nothing. It did nothing. Oh, I hated that place so much for so many reasons.
Yeah, sounds like it had a lot of roommates that didn't pay rent.
Well, and others that didn't pay rent. But hey, anyway, I think that's all the time we have for today on today's podcast, would you say?
Yeah.
A little bit talk it out.
That was fun, yeah.
So let's finish off just now. So, hey, if you're watching, please, on whatever platform you're doing, please engage with the episode because it really helps the show grow and it gets the word out to other people. We don't advertise this show to anywhere, so we really do rely on word of mouth. So, hey, if you know anybody that might be interested in it, if they might get any value from what we say or not, if they just want some entertainment, please, we would really, really appreciate you sharing it with people. Other than that, hey, Cam, what have you got coming up in this next week? Anything?
Nothing.
Excellent. I've got a couple of videos in the works, so when they come out, they can come out.
Here's the thing. I won't have anything to say is in the pipeline until such a time as I am, in fact, done. So it's like, I feel no need to talk about what I'm working on because you'll see it eventually.
Yeah, I think we're just going to drop that part for the time being. It's all good. Well, on that note, we'll see you next week. Hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.
Have a good one, everybody.